must be moved over to the side, just like that. And the reason being is when you go to cut fondant, these rollers will leave these little tiny lines in there, and it will put it right through your fondant. So you want to make sure that those are moved over to the side. Tip number 2. So you need to roll your fondant out on the food safe mat from Icing Images. It is important not to put the fondant in this area that is grayed in darker. And it even tells you in case you forget. Add a little Crisco to your mat. I just brush it on. I don't put too much or too little. I just kind of apply it to the mat, and then I roll the fondant out to 1/8 of an inch. Tip number 3. You have your fondant rolled out nice and smooth. What you want to do next is go ahead and apply some cornstarch. We just dipped the brush into the cornstarch and spread it on the fondant. It is important to wait until it dries just a bit, almost as if it's going to crust over. I usually just test a corner of it, and if it feels a little bit crusted over, then I know that it's ready to use. Tip number 4. So you're ready to cut. Your fondant is slightly crusted over. It's at 1/8 of an inch and we're ready to go. This is when you resort to the sheet that comes with your food safe mat and your Cricut. It lists all the different brands that we have tested. Just because you may not see your brand on there doesn't mean it won't work. It just means we haven't tested it yet. On there it tells you your cut pressure, whether you need to do a multi-cut, which blade you're going to use, what the pressure should be, and any notes we may have found that will help you. So you refer to that, you input that information into your Cricut program, and most importantly, make sure to take your dial, rotate it over to custom so it actually looks for those settings. Tip number 5. So now it's time to make sure you have the right type of blade. The blade listings are on that cheat sheet. So this blade that's in there right now is our standard point blade or fine point blade. I'm going to take that right on out and grab my deep point blade. Now this blade is different than the other ones. You want to make sure it's clean. Do not touch the blade full on. You will cut yourself. And then you go ahead and put this right into the Cricut and you are ready to cut. We actually have a bonus tip for you. Let's jump on over to the computer for our bonus tip. We have our shapes laid out that we want to cut. I'm going to go ahead and select Make It, and it's going to bring up the layout that it chooses to use. Now remember, on our mat, you will see between 1 and 9 is where I want to lay out the shapes. And here it goes from 0 actually to 9. So I want to make sure when it cuts all inside of here. So I'm going to arrange these shapes within that area to make sure they all cut. I'm going to just move that over slightly. And everything is between 1 and 9 inches. I'm going to move that over just a little bit right there. And we're ready to go ahead and cut. So I'm going to push the button. And away it goes. So I hope these 5 tips helped you with your Cricut Food Safe